Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel, and I got another recap for you guys. Ready to Love, Season 5, Episode 7, That's What Friends Are For. And yeah, we got a little bit of drama tonight, especially, when it comes to a couple of our men and even some of the ladies. But before we jump into this, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash that like button. And also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. So let's unpack this and talk about it. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So it's looked like we have reached the point of friends and exes being met, and start off with the gentleman meeting the ladies' friends, and it definitely doesn't go well for one of them. Okay, so leading the pack of who got asked out the most, which was Phil. He met up with Shiloh, Tizia, and Aisha's friends, and pretty much aces each and every date. They all find him charming, and no one is calling BS despite him having relatively safe answers. I mean, hell, even when the ladies talk about Phil, while you can see some of them feeling uneasy about him, having 3 women is entertaining, he seems to be with, people who understand the process. So definitely that's something that's good for him. And as for the other men, let's talk about Frank. Sydney has Frank meet her friends, and she's pretty much borderline booed up at this point. They're kissing, and the PDA is there, and her friends may think, he's giving these so-called pageant answers, but Sydney is just so smitten with him. You got to question if she would have heard anything her friends said, which, if they had something negative to say. And then that leads us on to Dante, who Mumin is definitely feeling. And as the sole person who only brought one friend, Dante pretty much has the easiest time out of all the men who dealt with 2 to 5 friends at one time. Which now brings us to Walter. Now, despite not seeing him and Sabrina on a date in a very long time, Walter is invited to meet Sabrina's friends, and he does well with her friends. He answered all of their questions, and admittedly, what helped was Sabrina. Unlike the next situation that we'll talk about, Walter wasn't set up. He got to come in there clean with compliments. He was actually able to excel and thrive with her friends. Now, as for whether he and Sabrina may actually be more, active on the show together, let's hope so, since they need to have some kind of conversation about some kids for us to know if they're really truly a match or not. Now, even though he did well with Sabrina, he didn't do so well with Mumin. Why? Because unlike Sabrina, Mumin had it where her dates actually met. So Walter kind of was a little bit caught off guard, and you can see that definitely made him more reserved. That definitely in comparison to Sabrina, who let Walter pretty much get his time, escorted him out, and then brought on Shawn, which looked like she set him up to fail. How, you may ask? Well, she told her friends about the conversation she had with him at the Korean spot. And we kind of get reminded why you should be wary of critiquing people you like with your friends. At least if you don't want to, be talked out of liking them. Because in Shawn's word, he felt like he was put in front of a firing squad. And it seemed, to really damage any thoughts he had about being a part of this whole process. Yeah, so, she definitely predisposed her friends and kind of gave them this heads up. And they were automatically turned off before the man could have gotten the door. Now, it didn't help with him saying, I could pay a bill or two, if not all, Now, he did say that, but some kind of way that got missed because I heard him say that part. But she definitely set him up to fail. I mean, by telling her friends that prelude of what happened at the Korean spot and the whole thing about what she was saying about he don't want to break her heart in 2 to 3 months without giving them the full context, their minds were already closed before this man even got in the door. So, yeah, that was crazy. Now, however, of all of the friend meetings, right, only one person had their friends turn on them, and that was Camille. Now, naturally, she had Cornelius meet her friends, and while they did ask him some questions, he also was one of the few men to ask some questions back, which I really liked. And one of Camille's friends actually spilled some tea on her, ranging from leaving people at the altar to commitment issues. And as for what they thought of Cornelius was between the celibacy thing and him being the kind of nice guy that she would run through, they want to be supportive, but, are sporting a side eye type of tone when it comes to this situation. So, yeah, they're 50-50 with these two. Okay, so now let's just go on and get this out of the way. Shawn is eliminated for losing interest in the process, which he admits. And, he was, after that whole thing with Sabrina, he was pretty much done. He was done, done, done. He was saying hallelujah when he got eliminated. And then as for Cornelius, he's warned that he has to look beyond Camille if he wants to stay. So, the only thing I would say about this is at what point do you start, if you like somebody you're interested in, you choose that one person and you choose to get to know them. I mean, you only got so much time on this process. So for folks to just be switching around for most of the 8 to 10 weeks, at what point do you kind of hone down on someone? And as crazy as this whole thing is with Camille, if those two are sold on each other, why try to eliminate them if they are truly ready to love that one person that they have a deep connection with just because they're not talking to somebody else? That part of the show I just don't understand, and I really don't think that they've even worked that part. Why not separate the solid couples out of this and let everybody else figure out their own thing? But to say he's not ready to love, possibly because he ain't still talking to other people, maybe he's sold. Now, according to Tizia, she said the word on the street is that he's not as sure as Camille is, but you ain't hear from her. Okay, whatever. But I mean, even if they are, at what point do you not eliminate somebody because they not talking to somebody else? That's the purpose of trying to be ready to love and bunker down with somebody. So I don't get that part. Drop a comment and let me know what y'all think about that whole concept. So let's talk about this conversation with these ladies. Now, Aisha, a part of her wants to give space to explore, realize who he is, and come back to her. Yet the other times, we're halfway at the midway point, and she would like if he would stray to two other women. I mean, this whole shrinking and stretching thing. Now, as for the most part, it's Zadia who starts things because she takes Aisha's statement to heart and specifically takes offense to the comment of her having a list. She got two guys she interested in, but she don't think she has a list. And she doesn't like the idea of being rushed either. After all, I guess to her the process has been enjoyable, but Zadia's back and forth with Aisha draws in Tizia, and Zadia's attitude is brought into question. Thus kind of drawn in Sydney in the middle of this, who comments about making things harder because she's new. And then Sabrina makes a small notion that Sydney shouldn't have added her 2 cents. And then you got Camille. I mean, everyone pretty much knows she owns Cornelius. So her making faces when they critique him gets noticed by Tommy, who isn't down for her antics. But, of course, with Cornelius he was on the chopping block and admitting to Zadia during the elimination he thinks Camille may have scared the other ladies away. It is definitely time to see if he might be willing to, make her mad to find someone better. I guess. It seemed, I don't even think the girls really want him like that. I just think they don't like the fact of them being so locked in. Because, I mean, the only other person that I know that really wanted him was Courtney. And she's gone. So, I don't know. I just think that argument, to each his own. If you want to shrink, shrink. If you want to stretch, stretch. Figure it out for yourself, to each his own. Don't stop trying to tell everybody else what to do. But that's just me saying, because if you mess around and play around too long, you ain't going to be with nobody, and you're going to be right back out there not ready to love on this show. So each person get to figure it out. But this whole argument and Zadia escalating it to this point that it was just like, why? If you don't want to do what you want to do, fine. If Aisha want to do what she want to do, that's fine too. But they arguing on whether she has a list or not. I'm like, just move on. If you don't have a list, you don't have a list. It is what it is. So that's just my thought. And I'm wondering, why all this in the first place? I mean, was there something going on off camera with Zadia that we don't know nothing about? I mean, after this episode, we're at 6 guys and 8 women. So there's definitely a overdue for a double elimination. The problem is, outside of Camille, it is a bit hard to say who else could get the boot. Now, if Zadia takes the energy we saw into meeting the guys' exes, she might have a chance to go. Also, we haven't forgot how Tizia was initially, with how she handled things. So she could be also up on the chopping block. And then, of course, as a Camille, the issue is she is focused on one guy. And I don't think any of the other dudes feel like that they are missing out on anything with her. So as soon as Cornelius started looking at other people, like maybe Mean, if he's interested, then it'll probably be her time as well, So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I just think at this point, since we're past the halfway point, some couples should have been formed. At least 1 or 2. I mean, right now we got Camille and Cornelius, but that's on shaky ground on itself. I mean, Camille is sold in, but Cornelius isn't. So I don't know. I'm losing hope in this show. I thought that with the last 2 seasons or so, we thought we had a couple last season and then the season before that. But it's just, I think the only couple that's came out of this is Rashid and the attorney girl that they're dating, and from season 3, from Last Resort. So out of that, and maybe one from season 1 that may be engaged or something, but I don't see anything coming out of this as of yet. If you guys play spades, you know what I'm talking about. Either you have some solids or you have some possibles. I only see one possible. Ain't nothing else in this hand so far. So let me know what your thoughts are on this particular episode, what you think about the conversation Zadia had. What did you think about Shawn and how Sabrina kind of set him up to fail before he walked in the door? And who's going to go next? Which one of the ladies you think is going to be on the chopping block, excuse me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.